Hi and welcome to this week's YouTube vlog, and I hope we're all okay. Thanks for everyone that subscribed over the last week. It's absolutely fantastic, and the comments we've received as well on our vlogs, they've been amazing. Thank you very much. Moving quickly on to this week's vlog, we're going back into the world of sapphires. As you know, I love a sapphire. Yeah, I'm going to show you how to service them, because weirdly enough, for our vlogs, we've had a lot of people comment and actually ring us and contact us direct because they're a little bit unsure about how to service them. They've installed them okay, they've set them up okay originally, but they're a little bit nervous about going back to do the service side. And actually, even though I do appreciate they look harder than what they actually are, they are a doddle to do. So that's what we're doing. Isabel will be recording it as always. It's a boiler that we actually vlogged last year that we fitted. So clearly you'll be able to see how it's run over the first year as well. So there we go. I'm going to stop going on. Let's get on with this week's YouTube vlog. So here we go. One external sapphire. We were here a year ago and we fitted it. It's its first service. Have a good look round first. We look at obvious things like we've had a couple of these that have deteriorated and come out. They don't do it anymore. The cone in the end, that's absolutely fine, so that's good. Okay, we look for things like leaks and that, because obviously since we were last here there could have been a leak, and I noticed that actually my condenser pipe I fitted has had a small weep at some point, so I will redo that joint at the end. But we're actually here for servicing. So to get in these, obviously I use a key like this, but you can use the customer's key or your own. You just literally get hold of that and pull, and we go like that. Okay, so I'm just going to get some basic tools out. You don't need many tools, and I'll be back. Okay, so sapphire servicing, the basic tools you need are 4mm T Allen key, 3mm T Allen key, 10mm nut spinner, a pen which I'll explain in a minute, and a 16mm spanner. There might be a few other little bits, but they're the most essential parts you need. You shouldn't actually really need anything else, okay? And the most important thing is that we've got here, which I'll explain later, is what I'm going to wash the boiler out with. Because essentially, you wash these boilers out. That's how it works. So if we come around here, Isabel, can you get in here okay? These are dead simple to strip down. Okay, so we're just going to safe isolate it, which we're doing there like so. I know people have struggled, but you've not got to worry about it really. So the first thing we do is pull the two plugs, 1, 2. Like so. There's your detection cell there, which we just pull out and hide it out the way. You've got this air tube here that goes onto like your air sensor there. There's a top and a bottom hole it can go on. It's the bottom one. If you want to mark it, please do, but I know which one it goes on, so I've pulled that off out the way. HT leads, pull them out the way. 3mm Allen key, we're just going to nip that undone like so. Probably 1 turn. Lift and pull. That's it, okay? Now, if it hasn't been serviced for 18 months, it'll be stuck to the cone inside. You have to put it a little bit harder, but we'll go through that a little bit later. The clever thing about the RGB, if we just get this out the way, is you can get your nozzle right out the way, because actually there is a clip, which is just here. Clip it out the way, simple as that. Okay, so now we've just done that, and we'll leave that loose. You need your 4mm Allen key. You've got the two bolts that are here, 1, 2. You just loosen them off very, very slightly. You lift, you turn the coil around out the way, and you basically pop that out the way, and that's it. So there's your transformer, your HT leads. You've got your light detection sensor there, your air sensor, and obviously your plug. Put that out the way safely. Once you've done that, I then carry on and I take the rest of these two out like so. So we've got 1. I lay them on there, but do feel free to put them in a container, whichever's best for you. Number 2. Sorry, I hit your knee there, didn't I?
Yeah.
Number 3 coming up. On these sapphires, it's worth running them on a tiger loop because there's so much pressure in the pump. I know Danfoss pumps are designed not to be in a tiger loop. They do run better. This one is not on a tiger loop because that's before we'd actually worked out they run better on them, but this one's actually fine. Okay, so I've undone 3 so far. Put your hand on this component here, the body, and push it in and hold it, and undo your last one. When you do it, you keep pushing firmly on there. You literally drop that out the way and put that with the rest like so. Get hold of it. There's going to be a cone behind there. You very slowly just wiggle, fold back, grab the cone, and drop it down like so out the way. Okay, there is your cone. This one there is a slightly bigger one. I might drop that down in size yet. We're just going to drop that down like so, and we're going to put that down there. Okay, I just need to get something and I'll be back. Okay, so we're back. Just dropping back to the cone. That's my mistake. I thought that was the bigger cone. It's not. It's the right size cone in there. Okay, so this one's on a 4.5 nozzle as well. So next thing you've got to do is take the main combustion chamber lid off. Get a pen. Don't be shy to put a little arrow on it so I know which way around it goes. I know, but I'm doing it for the purposes of this video. So here we go, 10mm. These are never tight because they shouldn't be tight because there's just basically a gasket underneath, and we just undo them. There's 6 on here, 2. So basically there's not a lot to these apart from the taking this part out, checking inside, cleaning it, changing the nozzle, etc, etc. There's not a lot going. Yes, there's a little bit setting up which I'll go through later, but things like checking your pump pressure on here, okay, you don't have to do. If you've got a little sensor there, there's a tiny little sensor there, that's where it adjusts the pressure automatically. So you've never not got to check things like that. There's absolutely no need whatsoever. And yeah, some people seem to be quite nervous to these. I don't understand why. Yes, when you do your first couple of boilers, you always get a bit nervous, but I promise everybody this is an absolute doddle to do. And if you're doing one and you do them all day long, you can comfortably do one in 45 minutes and there's no issues. Simple as that. Okay, so we've got the 6 10mm nuts there, and we're just going to get hold of the combustion chamber lid. Again, make sure the coil's lifted out of the way there, and we're going to give it a little rattle. Like so, and bring it towards me. And there we go. There's your blast tube there, okay. That's going to want a small clean on there, which is no problem. Another good one to look out for, there's a couple of little spot wells on here. Okay, sometimes these seem slightly loose, these blast tubes. Just push down and twist clockwise very hard and they'll tighten up again. But this one has got spot wells, which the later ones have. You can see the electrodes in there, just starting to buckle very slightly. They're yearly change. They're thicker now than what they used to be. Yes, they do last longer, but personal opinion, I do change them every year. They're literally so cheap. So we're going to put that out the way there like so. And then again, you've got the gasket underneath. It doesn't matter which way around it goes, but I always put an arrow on because, hey, we can go back in the same place because it's already settled in there. So we're just going to pop that off. I always pop it very gently all the way around. If you pull too hard, you'll rip it. Okay, it's quite hard to rip, but you can rip it. So there we go. I'm going to pop that there. Just check that. You can see that's clean. It's still very, very supple like it's supposed to be. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So again, I'm laying it down there. If it's raining outside, clearly I wouldn't lay it on the ground, but it's quite dry at the moment. So here we are inside. Here is your combustion chamber. There's only one way to do that, and that's to wash it out. It's an absolute doddle to do, which I'll show you. But before I do that, if we point down there, Isabel, you have the condense trap. Okay, I'm going to undo the condense trap, pull it out the way, and I'm going to put like a hose pipe on there so I can just wash it out the way. When you've got a soakaway like we have here, I don't advise you just wash it and go down the soakaway because obviously it can get quite dirty in there and you don't want to just start ending up blocking your soakaway up. If you're going straight into a dirty water drain, something like that, and there's nothing in the way, then obviously yes, you can wash it through. If you're using a condense pump, absolutely not. Take it away, wash it through into a container if you want to. If it's an inside boiler, I use a wet vac and put on the bottom while I do it, and then obviously you wash your condense trap out, make sure your pump's clean, etc, etc. So I'm just going to fill this pump up now like so, and I'll be back. Okay, here we go. Karcher, this is from Amazon. They can be as much as £140, but sometimes you can find for £99 when they're on offer, which is exactly what I got this one for. You literally take the top off it, you put your hand on there, you pop, and it's a fold away bucket like so. You fill it with water, you take this out of here, once it's full of water, you turn it on, and it's like a mini jet wash. That's how it works. I'm going to go get some water for this, and then I'm going to show you how I do it inside. Okay, so we're going to take the condense trap off. Okay, we apologise about the angles we're getting at. It's quite hard because I've basically got a fence right behind me, which wasn't here when we put the boiler in. Okay, so we're just going to undo that like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pop the condense pipe off, and then we're going to move the condense trap out the way. Don't lose that washer. Okay, simple as that. Okay, what I've done is here, I've got a modified condense hose, an old condense hose that I got. It's actually off a Grant boiler, and I put it into my hose pipe like that, and I literally just push it on the bottom like so. Okay, and then obviously it goes out the way to where it's going to go. I also get a cloth, and I just put a cloth just here and hold it here. Now what we're going to do is we've turned the machine on, and I'm basically going to get the end, and I'm going to wash it. So I'm going to give it a very basic wash inside here. So here we go. So as you can see, I'm just giving it a very gentle amount of water at the moment, nothing exciting. Okay, and we're just going to wait a few seconds for that. And while we're waiting, you can either use a scouring pad, or because this isn't dirty, I'm literally just going to use my hand. And as you can see, I'm starting to wipe it, and it's starting to clean. Okay, I'm just going to get in here, and I'm going to do the same in here. Okay, that's not even dirty, okay? But we're just going through the processes, and obviously where the grill is on the top, we're going to wipe that as well. All the way around, we're going to give it a really, really good wipe. You've got to keep holding your tail there because you might get a little dribble back. Okay, so that is like so. Once I've done that, to wipe my hands, we're going to hold it and we're going to wash it out again. Now in here, hopefully that's going to pick it up on the camera there. It's lots of little tubes. It looks like holes, but they're actually tubes. So we need to make sure we get the water down there as well. So I'm going to start at the top first, and I'm going to work my way down, then I'm going to go through the tubes. So here we go. We're going to go up. And you just take your time. Okay, that's that. I'm just going to give it another little wipe just to make sure it's absolutely fine yet, because you can feel if there's any dirt on there and it's not as nice and smooth. So I'm just going to finish that off like so. And make sure you get here, there's a little lip here, okay, just make sure, sometimes you get some debris build up there, so make sure you've got that. Once you've done that, I'm going to go down the holes. So I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to go down the holes. And what it's basically doing is, it's going outside, okay, because it's going down into the bottom of the boiler, out my hose, and onto the ground basically, away from here. Okay, so just giving it a good old wash. This one's not dirty. I wish it was a little bit dirty, because you'd see the more of a better effect anyway. Okay. So just take your time. There's no need to rush. I use warm water. I don't tend to use detergent if I'm really honest, because there's no need for it. Okay, that's it. Okay, simple as that. Once I've done that, I get my towel or a tissue. I normally use my towel because it's clean, and I give it a good old wipe out. And make sure I get all the rest of the debris out. Give it a good wipe. Like so. It's just glugging a little bit because it's obviously getting rid of the rest of the water. Okay, look at that. That's absolutely immaculate in there. Okay, there you go. I'm going to leave that for about 10 minutes now, because obviously I'm just going to let the water go away. While I'm doing that, obviously I'm going to do a few checks on other components, and then we're going to go from there. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, it's been draining about 10 minutes now. Okay, the next thing I do is I put this in the end of here, like so, with my condense pipe, and I just give it a few little blasts down there, just to make sure that that is clear as well. If it wasn't, the water would be coming back, and as you can see, it's not, so that's absolutely fine. Okay, once I've done that, then you've got the condense trap here, and what I do with the condense trap is, the first thing I do is empty it out, and as you can see, it's clean water, absolutely perfectly clean. And the second thing I do is I get my machine again, and I'll do it over the bucket, but basically you squeeze it, you give it a wash like so, and then you come in the other side and you give it a good old wash out. Okay, that's nice and clean. Once it's done, you fill it up. Okay, so water's back in it. You make sure that obviously the gasket is in there like so, and then we pop the tube off, which was obviously using. Pop the condense back on, and then basically we just pop the trap back on again. So now the trap is full of water, so it means that when you fire the boiler, there's no unnecessary fumes going down the condense, okay, because obviously until the trap's filled up, you can get some some obviously fumes from the boiler going through the trap. So we're just going to get that. Okay, I'm a bit cat-handed because what you guys don't realise is Isabel's got the camera exactly where I want to be. Okay, but we're going to try and do it a bit less cack-handed. There we go. So the trap's back on again. Okay, we'll be back in a sec to show you the next bits. Okay, so the next bit here, you've got your combustion lid here. We have to check this gasket. Make sure this gasket hasn't leaked by. As you can see, it hasn't. Also check that glass there, okay? That glass is absolutely fine. It's not dirty at all. If you go from the other side, which you see in there, I don't know if you can see it at the bottom, we've got the hole there. That's where it is. So sometimes you can get some combustion fumes in there or some soot, and obviously it dirties it up. But that is absolutely crystal clear. Okay, so electrodes now. So we need the 3mm Allen key again. We go down the middle, we undo it. That was tight, I just nipped it, I've done a minute ago, because they can be a bit tight sometimes. Okay, and we just drop that out of the way. Drop that out of the way like so. Now sometimes these can be tight. When they're tight, don't go mad with these grips. You just get the flat part, don't grip hard, nice and gentle, and out they come. Number one. Same again, don't grip too hard. That's why I slipped off. Number two. Quite often that gasket tries to come out when you do this, so just pop that gasket back in place. Once you've done that, you're left normally with a bit of rubber O-ring or something like that. They're not rubber anymore, they're fibre washers. So you just get a knife and literally just go around the inside, and you'll soon see if there's any left, it will just come out absolutely no problem at all. So you've just got to flick all the bits out just to make sure that that's a good seat for the new electrodes, which it is. Okay, so going back to the old electrodes, as you can see, here they are here. These ones look okay-ish. There's a little kinkle on there. Okay, so obviously they're going to go. The new ones, buy these from EOGB. There's the part number there. Cheap as chips they are. Okay, so obviously, if you're Sapphire agent, you can drop on the Sapphire part of it and you can buy them. Okay, so look, as I was saying, it's a fibre washer now, which is much better. So we're just going to push the first one in like so. They go in nice and easy. So you know if you've got the rubber seal out, because if you didn't, they wouldn't go in easy. And there's the other one. Now, people say you can't get these in the wrong position. You can. Okay, the reason being is because when you put this on here like so, and you start to do it up, it holds the electrodes inside in a set position. What people don't realise is there's a tight bit of movement there, and that slight bit of movement can make the difference between the electrodes being lined up or not. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to nip this up like so. You get a new nut or a new bolt, as you can see. I know if I turn them into each other, like so, and nip them up, that's normally where they sit. So I'm just going to do that up now. Now you need to nip it up, but don't go crazy. So that's like finger tight. That's it, simple as that. I'm just going to spin them over now and have a look. Okay, yeah, they're very, very slightly wrong still, so I'm just going to give them a little tweak. As you can see, they're not 100% lined up in there. See that, Isabel? Got that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to give them a little tweak again. This is critical to get this right. If you get this right, then you're not going to have any more problems with things. So I'm just going to put that back slightly. Get my little handy in there. We're nearly there, Isabel.
Good, good.
As you can see, you can't just do them up because you don't always get away with it. So it can be just a tiny bit fiddly sometimes. Nip that up again. Down there, look down there, look, spot on. Okay, so as you can see, people say you can just push these electrodes in and do them up. You can't. So that it's not hard, but just take your time. That's taken me 1 minute, a bit of fiddling, okay? Sometimes they go in first time, sometimes they don't. If they're like that, you're going to get a boom when it fires. It's not going to fire nicely. So just make sure that it fires properly. Okay, just final nip to make sure that's okay and have a look, it's fine. On a couple of these, we've had a bit of dirt inside here. Okay, a bit of carbon build up. Give that a good clean in there, but this one, as you can see, has got absolutely nothing at all. And then obviously here is where your blast tube is held on. Just make sure that these screws are done up. I've had a couple that haven't been done up fully, but most of them are okay. As you can see, 3 of them were fine. That one was a bit loose. As I say, this is welded to it, it's fine, but if it wasn't, I'm going to go through the process. You hold that bit there, you go like that, you do it up a little bit. And finally, okay, don't start rubbing screwdriver shoe here. Get your knife, don't push hard, just make sure that it's clear in these gaps here. Really, really important for your blue flame technology. Okay, there's a bit of dirt come out there, so just have to make sure that's correct there. Okay, once that's done, if it's filthy, I'll give it an absolute rub and a clean with a cleaning strip, but that's not, that's just heat there on there. Right, so that's that part done. Make sure the gasket's in, which I'm doing because I've done the electrodes. That's sorted. Okay, I'm just going to double check and show you what we went through again earlier. This is the gasket here, okay, because we're in a better position now. This is fine, you can buy these if you want to. I've never had to change one yet, and I've got some that are 3 and a bit years old. Okay, squeeze it. Absolutely fine, no problem at all, quite flexible. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put this all back together, and then we'll go through the nozzle change, etc, etc. We'll be back. Okay, here we go, arrow upwards. We're just going to basically put it back where it was, like so. Weirdly enough, I find this just the fiddliest bit to get on sometimes is that they don't always line up. There we go. Okay, here we go, arrow again. We're going to push that through. We're going to push that on. Make sure everything's out of the way. Sometimes you can get things caught behind. And put it there. Okay, 10mm nuts. When you do them, I'm going to do them loose, but I'm going to show you how to tighten them up at the end. Okay, you're going to put one there and you're going to go opposites. So for example, I'll do the first two. Let me just get my screwdriver. Right, so these are the opposites now. So you're going to go like that until you feel it go like finger tight, and you're going to go nip, done. You're going to go the opposite there. You're going to do that up until it goes finger tight, nip, done. Because you've got the seal behind it, it just takes up that difference there. If you crunch them up, you're going to have a nightmare next year getting them undone, because these get so hot generally that things can become a bit tighter. So I'm just going to repeat the same. This one, I'm just going to put this nut on here like so. Okay, like so, and nip, done. And then we've got the opposite one, which is over here. Like so, we're going to do that up. Nip, done. And then I'm just going to do that one and that one. Once I've done that, we'll be back. Here we go. Okay, comb clean. Again, it's just because it's heat. That's all that is. We're going to put the spring on. We're going to pop it inside here, like so. Raining, Isabel. Just started raining, hasn't it? We're going to lift it up, and we're going to make sure that the cone lines up. And then we're basically going to push it on. And what you do is when you push it on, you just have a little wiggle, and then it drops in like that. That's dropped into place. Once we've done that, I'm going to get the first 4mm, and I'm going to stick that in. Okay, the hardest bit is to get the first one to go, so I'm just going to give that a little reposition there, like so. Okay, I'm not going to do this up tight, but I'm just going to nip it for a minute so it holds it in place. Once I've done that, I'm going to put that one in there. Okay, and that's going to go in fully, and I'm going to nip it, and I'm going to put this one and this one in 3/4 of the way. Once I've done that, we'll be back. Okay, so that's nip, that's 3/4 of the way. Here we go. We've got this assembly here again. We just get it the right way around, obviously, and we just go in from the top, and we basically just drop it on like so. Okay, once we've done that, then we just hold it in position and get your formula Allen key, and basically just nip that one first, and then get the one at the bottom and nip that. Once you've done it, then literally you are, because it's fairly tight, it's going to go quarter of a turn, and it's opposites again, as you can see. If you over tighten that, you will literally rip the thread. Okay, you don't want to be doing that because that will cause you an absolute nightmare. Okay, HT leads over the back of the part there where the nozzle is, like so, if you got that, Isabel, and then we're just going to plonk them back on again, because then they're nice and tidy and out of the way. The idea is to make this all tidy. The air pipe, again, we're going to pop that, get the cables out of the way, we're going to pop that on the bottom hole, like so. Once we've done that, then obviously your sensor here, your light sensor, you can see it's absolutely crystal clear. That can go in. It can go in 2 ways around, but you'll feel it. It will just basically click in like so. Once that's done, then we can hold this out the way like so, and then we're onto your nozzle. Okay, now a 4 or 5 nozzles going in here. The great thing about EOGB, and Isabel's not going to be able to show this very easy, is in the side of the boiler here, you have a 16mm hole for the nozzle to go into, like so. Once it's in, we can get a 16mm spanner, nice thin one like so on the flat, and then you hold it straight. Don't hold it straight, you're going to ruin it. Hold it straight, gently, kick it undone, pull it out. What you mustn't do is adjust this. This should be tight. When you pull it out, if this is loose, then nip them together tight so it can't move, because that's well, it's not preset, it's what you should have set up when you commissioned it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do now is get my cleaning strip. I'm going to clean around here so it's clean. Then I'm going to take the nozzle out, change it, and then I'm going to stick it in there, nip it up again, and then I'll be back with you. Okay, so that's cleaned, as you can see on the end, and obviously you've got your new nozzle in there. Lift, put it in, and you just feel it. It just goes in nicely. Okay, if it's going in stiff, something's not right and lined up. That's nice and easy. Drop that, make sure it goes behind there properly, and then we'll get, would you like to pass it to me please, Isabel? We've got the 3mm Allen key that I've left, like all good technicians do, not in the right place, and we're going to do that up. Okay, again, when you do that up, that's finger tight, nip. No tighter, there's absolutely no need to. Once you've done that, we're just going to look at things like this here. As you can see, this wire is alongside, because I always manage to do that. We're just going to pop that through there like so, and then that can go back on there. So that's nice, no tightness, it all looks lovely, neat and tidy. Same as this one, we're going to stick this around here. We're going to stick this up here like so. Again, all nice and neat and tidy. We're going to drop the coil back to where it was. That's all compacted in a nice place. That's all back together. The condensate's done. The nozzle's done. There's no leaks on here. They're ruby red ore lines. There's no cracking on them whatsoever. If there was, then obviously we would do something about it. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, that's it. We're now ready to set the boiler up. It should fire and run absolutely perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a bit of a tidy up quickly. I'm going to get the handheld device out for the Sapphire and my kit out, and I'll show you how to set them up. So we will be back. Okay, so we did just fire the boiler to make sure it's going to work, okay, but we literally fired it and turned it off again. So just get your 3mm, just undo and take the top off the boiler. The reason we're doing this is, one, we want to make sure that the test ports haven't leaked by and stuff like that, because we have had a couple that have done that. So it's always in your interest to make sure that they are in correctly, make sure there's no gasket leaking and stuff like that, and then we can go from there. So I'm just going to get this. Always a little bit more fiddly when you've got a cage in the way, like in this case here. Because we have actually gone to a couple where there's been a schoolboy error, and I will say not ones we've fitted, but I won't name and shame obviously, and by mistake they've used the wrong gasket. When you take the top plate off to put the flue in, or the back plate in this case, there's a gasket, but there's another one in the kit that's a bit thicker, and that's one you use, and by mistake people forget, and then what you do is you end up with a leak. The other thing is, if you're not careful, you can nip the seal when you're putting them together originally, and then again a few days later you can get a leak. So we come and we find that, etc. So you've just got to be extra careful all the time. Lift that off nice and gentle. As you can see, when you put it back on again, here, I'm over here, Isabel, that's it. When you put it back on again, you've got the cutout at the back. That's where the flue goes. All right, so we're just going to put that out of the way. We're going to put the screws up here out of the way. In there you've got a USB port if you want to charge your kit. They're actually doing away with that, because actually there was actually no need for it, so they've done away with it. So what I'm going to do is, here you can see this gasket is absolutely fine here, no problem at all. That one's absolutely fine there. So's that, and so's that one. You can't see there's anything going on there. These are still very flexible, these are good, and these go in, make sure they're pushed, they're absolutely fine. No leaks there, no leaks there. Nothing going on here, there's no leaks here at all. Okay, so what I will do shortly is give that a little wipe around, because I like to be a bit OCD, and then we'll go from there. But just temporarily, I'm going to leave the screws there and pop the top on. You're going to make life a bit easier for me. Okay, by the way, if I go back, if you're testing it because you've got a vertical plume kit, then obviously you can go in there or there, them two holes there. But as this is a low level discharge, I'm literally going to stick my kit in the front of it. So we're just going to plonk that on temporarily. Okay, but if you come around here, the boiler's off at the moment. Okay, just down here, I'll just pull this out of the way. There we go. Okay, you've got your display plug. Pull that out. Be very careful, don't get silly with them. Okay, and then you're going to put your machine in here instead. It's a bit dark, isn't it, Isabel? There we go. Okay, here's your display screen here from the OGB. If you're an agent, you can buy one. They're about 60 quid, I want to say. They're not a lot of money. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn it on, and we're going to look straight at the screen. System loading. As soon as it gets to that stage, that tells you it's 46 degrees in the boiler. We're going to press the EOGB button. Okay, I'm just going to quickly take my gloves off, it doesn't work with my gloves on. So that is your pump pressure and pump offset there. You're just going to press next. Okay, this is all your different speeds and fan speeds against the pump pressures that it is at before. If you haven't got the book originally that you set it all up at, it might just be good writing this down just in case you get yourself in a muddle. Okay, we're going to go next again. Okay, just start taking notes of some of these, what they are. Okay, and as we get to it here, again, you've got the same thing. Okay, this boiler initial pump pressure is 10 bar to fire it. Okay, so we're just going to go through again, it's not a combi. And here we go, this is the ramp test. So we're going to go 10 bar, which is the start pressure, and I noticed it was 41. Okay, we're just going to wait for that to rev up slightly, we're going to press start. Okay, once we press start, you will find that the boiler will fire into life. About 10 seconds. There we go, so it needs a bit of automation there because obviously it's just had a new nozzle in it, etc. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now, I'm going to dial these up 2 and then go up 3 or 4 at the bottom. And I'm going to keep doing that all the way to 20 bar. Okay? Okay, so now it's running the 20 bar of pressure, and obviously the pump fan speed's at 61 approximately. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to put my kit in and we're going to see what it's at, so I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I put my machine in. Obviously any machine you can use, I just choose, I just happen to have a cane. Okay, everyone's different. 13.5%, O2 is 2.7, 93 degrees, and if I go here, one way, you will see at the moment, yeah, it's only about 37 degrees in temperature as well, so it needs to get a bit hotter. Okay, that needs to be a bit less, so to do that we increase the fan speed, which is this one here. We'll put that to about 64 at the moment, and we have to wait. Okay, so this is the bit where people get a bit confused and find it a bit tricky, but actually it's not a doddle to do. It's just about being a little bit patient. Okay, so as you can see it's dropping now. We need the O2 to be sort of between like 2.9, 3.1, which is there at the moment, and that's 13.2. So that's not far out at all at the moment. I could go up one more fan speed to 65, which I'll do. That's not a problem. Bearing in mind, if you're also watching this video, don't take my figures at what your boiler's going to be. They're all different. Okay, so I'm just giving you an example of this one. Okay, so we're just going to wait a few more seconds. I've just had to back the air off very slightly, to be honest, I went the wrong way. Just wait. Very important. We need this to be over 50 degrees really if we can really start doing this, but this is just a demonstration to you. So there you go, spot on. Right, once you've done that, if you have a look here, Isabel, okay, you press set. So you press set now, and it went beep. You didn't hear that. We're going to pretend, ready? Beep. There we go. Once you've done that, you then drop it to 19, like so. Okay, you drop that down, probably 2 in fan speed. You then go back. You wait about a minute, and that will settle down again. Okay. Once that's settled down, you should be able to get the exact same figures again, or very, very closely. Once you've done that, as you can see, it's just changed a little bit there, so that's absolutely fine. I'll just give it a bit more air. So we'll just wait a second for it to do what it's got to do. Make sure when you're doing this as well that you've got all the heating on flat out in the house, because obviously it does take a while to do, so you have to be a little bit careful. I'm just making adjustments in the background. I'm just going up and down slightly with the... there we go. Okay, so we're not far out there at all. Same again, we're going to go set, like so, and then we're going to drop it down to 18, and we're going to drop this down a little bit more. I'll just press the stop button by mistake, but it doesn't matter. We're going to go down a little bit more, and they're going to repeat. And we're going to do all that from 20 bar right down. Let me just pull my kit out. We're going to do that from 20 bar all the way down to 5 bar. Okay, so the basis is that when you start it up, okay, you're going to start it at 10 bar, approximately 41, and then once you've got it at 10 bar at 41, you then obviously set it up at the O2 about 3, anything about 13.2, 13.3, and then you press the set button. Once you've done that, you go down to 19, and then you drop your fan speed a couple of times, you set that, then you go down to 18, and you repeat. When you get under 10 bar, it changes slightly. If it was me, I would drop your CO very, very slightly, so it ends up at about 12 to 12.5%. Okay, the reason for that is because if you don't, especially if you have a plume fit, you can have a bit of vibration going on, which you want to try and avoid if you can, because it's not great for the customer. Okay, once all that's finished, I'm going to go through the procedure. Once it's all finished, then you just press the back button and you press this here, save and finish. Okay, as soon as you save and finish, it goes back to the standard screen, and then the boiler will kick into life again, and that's how it works. All right, so it is as simple as that. Okay, I'm just going to go back into this because I don't want the boiler to fire, because I've got to set it all up again. All right, so that's how it works. I stopped it so it didn't go through it, because obviously the boiler just kept running all the time. It's a bit of a nightmare really, wasn't it? Okay, so that's the hardest part. Let's go right back to the beginning now. So how do we service the Sapphire boiler? It's really, really simple. You get your 4mm Allen key. Let's come round here, Isabel, again. You get your 4mm Allen key. We're just going to turn that machine off because it's doing our heads in. There we go. Right, okay, so you've got the 4mm Allen key, okay? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to turn the power off here, like so. You're going to get your 3mm Allen key. You're going to undo that. You're going to lift it. You're going to pull that nozzle assembly out. You're then going to disconnect your light sensor here. You're going to pull your plugs out. Once you've done that, you turn your coil to here. You undo your 4mm, you slide that out the way, your air hose there, you pull off at the bottom one. Okay, once you've disconnected your HT leads, all your transformers, etc., air sensors, they all come out the way. Once you've done that, you undo the rest of these 4mm to remove them totally. You then put a bit of pressure against here. You get these two 4mm Allen keys here. You undo them, you remove it. You've then got your cone that you take out the way. Once that's done, you very, very simply put a mark on your combustion chamber lid, undo the 610mm, pull it out where the blast tube is, take the gasket out of the way. Once that's done, you wash it out. I showed you how to wash it out. Please do not forget the tubes that go down, and please remember that if you're using a soak weight or a pump, you take the trap out first, remove it, and then obviously divert it out the way, even if you put a wet vac in the bottom. Once that's all done, you put it all back together. Once that's done, you put a new nozzle in. To do that, you've got your handy little 16mm hole here. You put your nozzle in there. In this case, it's a 4580. You undo it, you put the new one in, you slide it in, make sure that slides in and out nice. You plonk that down, you finish it off, put it all back together, and then you set it up with the kit. Going quickly back to the kit without repeating myself, you fire it at 10 bar at approximately 41. You then get it up to 20 bar of pressure. Once you've got it up to 20 bar pressure at about 60-65 airspeed, you set it at 13.2, 13.3, so your O2 is between 2.9 and 3.1, and then you press set save on there. Once you've done that, or set on in this case, you drop to 19, you repeat all the way down to 5 bar. Once you've done it, you go back, save and finish. Job's a good one. What have we got left to do, Isabel?
Clean it.
Clean it. The last thing to do when you're finished, which I've got to obviously set this up properly now, the last thing you do is you put the front on and you give it a wipe over and give it a good old clean. And that's it. That is how you service a Sapphire fully modulating boiler, and the inside and outside ones are exactly the same. Back to the van. And there we go. That's this week's YouTube vlog. Done from us at Barton All Burner Services, and I hope you enjoyed it. So there we go. That is how to service a Sapphire boiler. It was quite hard to record that, wasn't it, Isabel?
Yeah.
Was at a funny angle, because since we actually fitted the boiler, yeah, we had a fence up my bottom basically, so it's quite hard to get the camera angles. But yeah, I really hope you got the gist of it. The hardest part, I would say, is probably setting it up. But yeah, basically they're really, really simple to service. You just need basic tools, 3mm and 4mm Allen keys. You need a 16mm spanner, and then obviously on top of that, I showed you the Karcher pressure washer, which is amazing, and finally a 10mm nut spinner. It's literally as simple as that. So please feel free to comment. Obviously we always reply to the comments, and if you haven't already, then please do subscribe. Anyway, it's supposed to pour rain this weekend, which isn't ideal, and actually as we was finishing that, we had to speed up because it was raining, but there we go. But have a great weekend, everyone. Until next time, stay safe.